The Rugby Championship is nearly here and you can taste it. On the opening weekend, I'm here in Cape Town and I'll be heading up to Johannesburg for the Springboks against the Wallabies. The game on Saturday night in the opening round in Argentina is going to be Los Pumas against the All Blacks, and that could be a firecracker of a game in Argentina's second city, Cordoba, at the Estadio Manuel Kempes, which is the name of an Argentinian footballing legend, but it's the rugby fans that are going to be there and bring in the noise against the ABs. And yeah, that could be an absolute belter of a game. The teams have been announced. Felipe Contepomi and Scott Robertson have named their sides. I'm going to go through those teams. I'm going to pick a combined 23-man squad. So if you had all 23 Argentinians and All Blacks, which would you pick in a combined team? And what does that tell us about where the balance of power lies in this Rugby Championship opener? It's set to be an absolutely awesome competition this year because of the way the fixtures have fallen, because of the quality of the teams and improving Australia. Argentina are now a top-notch opposition, and of course the old rivals, the Springboks and the All Blacks, going head-to-head in New Zealand. This competition is going to be really, really hard to win. Whoever comes out on top is going to properly earn it. If you appreciate the content on the channel, if you want more of it, drop a little thumbs up on the videos to help me spread the word. Hit subscribe so you don't miss anything, and most importantly, leave your chat down below. I am, like I say, in Cape Town, heading up to Johannesburg tomorrow. Spent yesterday back here in Cape Town. I'm at the Cliff Street Lion Roars Hotel down in the little, well, I was going to say the work area. I'm working here, but this is where people just come and chill out, I guess. But yeah, it's great. And as I've mentioned, Lion Roars can help you whether you are wherever you are, between Port Elizabeth and Cape Town, down the whole garden route, safari, seaside, city, winelands. They have got your back. I'll leave a link in the description and I'll tell you more about that on another video, but I want to get straight into the teams here because it's been awesome. Actually, one more thing from South Africa before I get into this fixture. I experienced and took part in my first Bok Friday today. So I went to a CrossFit box just down the road. Back in the UK, I do CrossFit. And so I went and found a local box near to here. The guys at Motley Crew, a cracking little CrossFit box, and it was Bok Friday for them, so you know, people turned up in green and gold, so I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And after eating the amount of meat and general calories that I've been taking in, it was much needed as well. So I had a really good time there. But this game, I cannot wait. So tomorrow night I'm going to have to, you know, not hit the brandy and coke too hard so that I'm in a position to sit down and watch this game. So it's going to be on late on Saturday night. And Los Pumas have a look at the team, are pretty much at full strength. The guys that they rested against England, even some of the guys they rested against the British and Irish Lions, a test match they won. They lost the two-game series against England, of course, but they won against the Lions. But there's a load of guys that weren't available that day that are back now. And the only player I can think of that, if he were fit and available, would be in this side is Thomas Gajo. Now another player that I thought was going to be one of those guys that must be injured is Mateo Carreras, an absolutely electric winger. But Felipe Contepomi has confirmed Mateo Carreras is fit and available. He just cannot make the 23 for Argentina, and that speaks, well, to two things. One, the depth that they have now got. In certain positions particularly, there are others where it's a little bit more hit and miss. A player of that calibre, one of the best wingers in the world, cannot get in their 23. That tells you just how good their backline is. And also, it speaks to the strategic and tactical nous of Felipe Contepomi, because he has left out an amazing winger because Rodrigo Iskro and Bautista Delgui do a very specific tactical strategic job for Argentina. And I think the transitions in this game, when turnovers happen with both of these sides, you're going to see the ball go wide early off of transitions and turnovers. You're going to see a lot of massive kick chase moments, and those balls that spill, suddenly the ball getting shipped across the park, 3-4 passes, boom, gone. And that's what Argentina do so well. But it's also what New Zealand are really good at. So it's going to be fascinating to watch. But yeah, a load of those guys that weren't involved against England last month are back, and also against the Lions, Juan Cruz Malia, Santiago Chocobares, Gonzalo Garcia, Marcos Kremer, Guido Petti. This is a full-on team. Again, I mentioned that they've got Mateo Carreras not even in the team. Have a look. You've got Santi Carreras, one of the best players in the Premiership in England. He's on the bench. You've got Guido Petti, Champions Cup winner, on the bench. You have got, I mentioned Juan Martin Gonzalez on the bench. That just speaks to the class, and particularly that speaks to the class. When you look at Petti and Gonzalez on the bench, that speaks to the class of the back five of the scrum. Second row with Rubiolo and Molina, who are a couple of proper Boschers, work rate guys. And then that back row, Matera, Kremer, Oviedo, is up there with the best back rows in World Rugby. That might even be the best back row in World Rugby. Is that good? Oviedo, one of the best young players coming through in World Rugby at the minute. And I'll come on to the All Blacks. They're without their equivalent in Wallace Satiti. So it could be an area where Argentina will feel like they've got a definite edge, the back five of the scrum. Can the front five hold up? Because I'm not as confident in Argentina's props. It was always their strength. It's now turning into a little bit of a weakness, and the dynamic has shifted where Argentina's back line are awesome, but can the front row hold firm enough at scrum time to give them a platform to go and do what they do? And also I would say Molina and Rubiolo are slightly, they're not proper line out second rows. They're kind of work rate, carrying, tackling second rows, which is great around the park, but set piece is going to be where this game could be lost with Argentina. And you know, they're an inconsistent team, and the consistency tends to be because they're getting pumped at scrum time. It could happen against the All Blacks, because when you flip over to the All Blacks, despite the fact they are without Tyrell Lomax and Wallace Satiti, as I mentioned, and Cameron Roigard, it's still a really good team, and Scott Robertson has got them just bubbling nicely, but those guys are three that they're going to miss. On a previous video looking at the ABs, I had said Geordie Barrett might be their MVP, because the drop off from him to the next best player in that 12 jersey is a big one. And I still think that's a consideration, but there was quite a few comments on that video that said, hold on, Cameron Roigard might be the most important player for the All Blacks, because without him, it's a big drop-off, and that is absolutely the case. And you look, no Cam Roigard at 9, Cortez Ratimer comes in. He's had moments where he's looked great, but quite often his service hasn't been fast enough, been a bit sluggish, hasn't got the All Blacks ticking, and he's going to need to do that. And I think that's why the experience of Finlay Christie is on the bench, and it's good to see him back in and involved, but that's one area where Cortez Ratimer's got to have a big game. And again, he's going to have a front five. Look at that front five, even without Lomax, even with Fletcher Newell coming in, that is an intimidating and imposing front five, and second row behind it with Fabian Holland, one of the most impressive players in 2025, could be a contender for World Breakthrough Player of the Year. Him or Henry Pollock, probably going to win that one. Two of the front runners for it at least. But another one who, you know, if he has a big Rugby Championship, it could end up being him. Duplessis Karifi gets the nod at 7. A man who never ever skips leg day, and Quadzilla is going to be on the park for the ABs with Ardi Savia shifting to 7. Big moment for him. Slightly greener back row for the All Blacks up against Argentina's experience in the back row. That's going to be a massive one to watch. Can Tupuvai and Duplessis Karifi, can they stand toe-to-toe with Matera and Kremer? Bring it on. In the back line, Billy Proctor is being persevered with. I'm really pleased about that. I'm pleased that Rico Ioane is now back to a winger, looks like for the most part full-time, and Scott Robertson is persisting with Billy Proctor, who hasn't quite grabbed the ball by the horns yet, but he's shown the potential to do so. So I think he will. And you know, Will Jordan's going to be worth a couple of tries at the back, and it's a pretty frightening looking back three, isn't it? As for a combined team, what would you go with if you had all 23 Argentinians, all 23 All Blacks? Which would you pick? What does it tell us? As you can see, I've gone for, well, 5 out of the pack being All Blacks and 4 out of the back line. So there's an edge in all areas, particularly, excuse me, an edge in the type for New Zealand. Numbers 1 to 4 are all Blacks. It could have been 5 being Fabian Holland. In fact, Pedro Rubiolo's played a little bit more international rugby. He's looked really good when he does. Him and Barrett kind of do the same job a little bit. They just go around rattling people. And Fabian Holland has really tidied up the All Black line out. And he looks a potential 100 capper in the future. So I may be tempted to change that one at a later date. I may look silly, but there you go. I'm going with Matera and Kremer on the flanks. Ardi Savia, what a back row that would be, by the way. Immense. Garcia over Ratimer. Albanors over Bowden Barrett. Yes, Albanors over Bowden Barrett. That's how good Albanors was against the Lions. He was unreal. But this is a big test for him. Can those two control the game? It's going to be massive. The only player outside of that in the back line for Argentina is Chocobares, who really, I've shifted him out to the 13 jersey, but Argentina play more of a left-right system rather than an inside-outside. That's why I've juggled him there. Juan Martin Gonzalez and Santi Carreras on the bench. Other than that, it's all New Zealand. So what's that? 3, 6, 8 Argentinians and 15 All Blacks. I think that tells the story in terms of the talent. However, Argentina are at home with what's going to be a fun, hostile crowd. I'll put it this way, if the more Argentinians are crying during the national anthem, the more chance they have of getting a win. I think this is going to be really tight. I could 100% see Argentina winning this one. I'm going to go for the ABs narrowly. Although this is going to be such a fun game and I'm really looking forward to watching it. Looking forward to covering all of the Rugby Championship from the Rugby Championship, where I'll be watching 2 of the matches this week and next. And if that's not enough to get your subscription, I don't know what is. So please do hit subscribe and I will see you on the next one.